Hey guys, Magnus Robert here bringing you another video. So today we are going to be reviewing both Act 1 and Act 2 for the brand new Simpsons Tap Out update, which is of course entitled The Rise of the Robots. So this is a interesting multi-event. It's an interesting major event, if you want whatever you want to call it. I actually think this one is a very good update. Do not get me wrong. Now, I'm going to be critical though of minor things. Again, like I say, they are minor things. Overall, my opinions on this update are overwhelmingly positive. I think this is one of the greatest updates we've got in a long time. However, I still like to nitpick. I'm a nitpicky guy, so you're gonna have to endure that. So we're of course gonna start with Act 1, then we'll look at the Act 1 Premium, then we'll look at Act 2, and then the Act 2 Premium, and then I'll kind of say what my preferred act out of Act 1 and Act 2 is overall. So let's start off with, of course, Act 1, which of course is entitled, it was called Robomania. Oof. So, Robomania. Here is the prize track, of course. So, there were 5 prizes to be won. Something I just want to note now, and this is true for every single act, is there are no tokens as prizes, and I really appreciate this because I think when tokens are given as prizes, it's a little lazy and it kind of drags the update out a little bit, and I think there's a lack, it's a lack of content. There's always something I can think of that they could have added instead of that token, and that's why it always annoys me. I've done the event ideas for a while now. I sort of know what stuff they could add. Like even with this update, for example, there's plenty of characters and well, maybe not so buildings, but there's plenty of characters and decorations that I know that they could have given us that they haven't. But I can't really criticize them too much because a lot of these items are obviously the spaces are filled up. We haven't got a token instead of a prize. That being said, I would have liked it if they gave us a token, regardless. So for example, with Chief Nokohoma, if we got a token with him, that would have been cool. And I think that's the best option personally. But if it's between getting a token or getting an extra prize, I'm going to pick the extra prize every time. So yeah, that's my opinions on it. So of course, here is Act 1. Let's talk about it. So the first building we got is the Prodigy Barn. Now, I like this building for the most part. I think it looks nice, it's easy to decorate, it fits in with your little store if you want to make a little store area. No complaints really. It's nothing that blows me out the park, but it's certainly a good building, so it gets a thumbs up. The Chocobots. Now, the Chocobots are weird. I normally hate crowds. I normally am very anti-crowds. This one, though, I give a pass to. I think it's good. Not amazing, not great, but good. I don't have anything negative to say about it. I think it's pretty neat. They're pretty cool little, things to have just to complete that sort of the chocolate saga we're getting with the little chocolate fortitude thing we had as well. Chocolate of fortitude or whatever it's called. So, it completes that nice little thing. So, I can't complain too much. I think they're good. Then we have the bear robot. I love the bear robot. I think it's a great NPC. I love the fact that they gave us 2 NPCs in this update. No complaints at all. I think it's great. I'm glad that they threw it in there as a sort of extra little mini prize and not as a final character or anything like that. So, no complaints there. I love it. Then we have the Robot Rumble Trophy. Now, this one I'm gonna be negative about. I think this is piss poor. I don't like trophies as prizes. We've got so many different trophies in the past. I'm getting a little sick of it. They didn't need to add this. They certainly could have threw in something else instead. It wasn't a necessity to add, is basically what I'm saying. There was no need for this. And also, I don't remember seeing this in the episode. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I never saw this, I swear. Maybe I'm wrong, like I said. Maybe it was in the episode. Maybe I'm forgetting it, but yeah, I don't know. Even if it was seen in the episode, it doesn't really change my opinion. I still don't think it should have been added. It's not worthwhile as a decoration, in my opinion. So, yeah. And then we have Chief Nokohoma. So, this one's a controversial one because I know a lot of people are happy enough with it being a character. And I realise that, yes, they do sort of justify it in the quest line because they kind of say that Bart made him into an actual robot. And I understand the the sort of connection. I understand how it's been explained. But regardless, I still think this should have been a costume. They can explain it all they can explain it away all they want. At the end of the day, if they were to give us, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison, but if they were to give us Donut Homer, for example, I think I used this one with someone. I was talking to someone. I used this example. If they were to give us Donut Homer, for example, as a character, and they were like, well, and then in the quest line they said, oh no, they made a Donut Homer doppelganger the devil made a Donut Homer doppelganger to torture Homer or something like that, or so Homer tortured him or something. I don't know, like something like this. And they justified it in the questline was saying like, oh, well, the devil made him as a character. He made him a real person, and so that justifies it in the questline. I mean, yeah, it does, but I still want Donut Homer as a costume, and the same applies for Chief Knocker Homer. I don't care if you justify it and say, yes, it's a robot. It should be a costume for Homer. It's from the episode. It's an iconic, scene in the episode, and this would have made such an awesome-ass costume. So I don't really care that much of the justification. Like I said, I think it should be a costume. Especially considering this has voice. This costume has a unique voice. Well, sorry, not costume. This character has voice, and it's Homer's voice. So, like, what is, like, Homer voiced it or something? I don't know. Yeah. So that's just my opinions on that. That being said, it's a good character as far as it can be a good character. If this was just a costume for Homer, I would love it. I would praise it so much. And I know that a lot of people are happy enough with it being a character. I'm just, something about it just annoys me a little bit, so I'm still not that thrilled with it. I don't hate it, I don't despise it, I just feel very indifferent about it because it's not a costume. So, that's my opinion on Act 1. I know I went on a big rant there, but there you go. So let's briefly talk about the Act 1 Premium, which of course was the Robot Rumble announcers with the Robot Rumble Arena. This is a weird one. Part of me loves the fact that they added these two randos as characters, and part of me is questioning why they bothered. I still think Frank and Frank Jr., the two people who compete against Homer and Bart, would have been a better fit for this. It's just the Robot Rumble announcers don't even have voice. Like they don't even have names. They have voice actually, which is quite cool. I think the questline was decent. I think they did what they could with it. The animations are a bit repetitive, but you can't really complain because of how obscure and sort of blink and you miss it these characters are. However, the building they come with, the Robot Rumble Arena, there's something about it. The way it's kind of designed, the 3D doesn't pop out to me. I know that some people are fine with it. For me, I just don't like it. It just doesn't look right. I think the way they've designed it is a bit off. I didn't actually notice the animation at first, but there is actually an animation with this. So when the character's inside of it, there's two little bots that fight each other. That actually improves the 3D aspect of it. It looks better when there's something inside of it battling. When the animation's happening basically on this building, it looks a bit better, the actual design of it. But obviously the animation isn't there half the time. If you just have it placed in your town, you don't see the animation unless you've sent a character there. So I'm still a little iffy on it. And also, the elephant in the room, it shouldn't be a building. It's an interior. At the very most, it should be a decoration. I'm fine with it being added, don't get me wrong. I think it's justification enough, but the fact that it's a building is not right. And yeah, I would have liked there to be a bit more interaction with it. And also, why is it premium? Well, that's so weird. But the Robot Rumble announcers, I appreciate them for what they did with them at least. So I personally would probably say skip, but if you liked it, my premium gameplay, then go ahead and buy them. Then we have Act 2, which of course is called Super Robo Cyber Slam. So we'll get straight into it. So the first thing we have is of course the Robot Rumble Studio. I love this building, think it's amazing, it looks awesome. Easy enough to decorate, I love getting these big studios. I really want to make like a sort of studio part of my town. I think I saw that on Fufi's channel, but it's a good idea actually. Then we have the award show enforcement bar. To be fair, I think this one's fine. I think it looks cool enough, and I'm definitely going to have to use this artwork for my Tapped Out Awards coming up, so I appreciate it for that. I think it's alright. It's nothing amazing, don't get me wrong, but I don't dislike it. I think it's got a decent enough animation. Ralpho Cop, I adore. I just love so much. That's like 1,000,000 points right there just for that. Smashiest Clay, I think, at first I thought he was a little small, but then sort of looking at him again, compared to like Ralpho Cop and stuff, I think, and Chief Nokohoma, I think he's probably actually scaled quite correctly. Yeah, he's got a decent thing when you tap on him. I think he's fine. He's very cool. And then finally, Frink Jr., great character. I'm glad that we got him. He's very obscure because, of course, of how like how he's in basically one episode. I think he appears like very briefly in another episode, but he's such an obscure character, and it's a character that they have never done anything else with. So it's cool enough to get him, and of course it makes sense. It's the robot event, so yeah, I like him. Then we have the Love Bot with the Mr. Sparkle Factory. I'm not a massive fan of this one. I think the Love Bot is very generic as a character. The questline was okay. The character just isn't that interesting to me, and none of the animations are particularly that great either. The building doesn't look right. It just looks like they started to design it, and then they just didn't put any of the sort of minute details. They just kind of left it as a blank slate. It just looks so plain. It looks so plain that it looks off. It doesn't look right. It looks like it's been half, sort of designed. So I'm not a huge fan of that one, and I'm not a huge fan of the character. I probably would say that the Robot Rumble announcers and the arena were probably better than this one, to be honest, which is very weird to say. But yeah, so that is it. Which one do I think is the better act? I think Act 2 for sure is the better of the acts. I could see some people disagreeing. I just think the building is better. The second prize is probably about on par, to be honest. The Chocobots for the award show enforcement bot, that's about on par. The NPC, I'm sorry Bear Robot, but Ralpho Cop is just better. Ralpho Cop is a better NPC. Smashiest Clay is definitely better than the Robot Rumble trophy, and I generally think Frink Jr. is better than Chief Nokohoma. So yeah, I think Act 2 is just far superior. Act 3 and 4 don't look as strong as Act 1 and 2. I think Act 1 and 2 are definitely the strongest from what I can see, but we'll have to see. You never know. Something could really wow me and change my mind, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me your thoughts on which one you think is the better of the acts, and I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye.